The Sabah election was in the headlines today, with Rafizi Ramli criticizing PKR's strategy. Meanwhile, Upko has commented on the Attorney General's Chamber's statement that the government will not appeal the court's ruling affirming Sabah's entitlement to a 40% share of federal revenue collected from the state. Stay tuned for this and more on KiniNews. Former PKR Deputy President Rafizi Ramli has hit out at his party over their strategy for the upcoming Sabah election. This came after PKR revealed its candidates for the post, which he said included some known for their party-hopping antics. In a video on Facebook, Rafizi said that it seemed like PKR hadn't learned from their loss in the 2021 Malacca state election.
Strategi parti mestilah tepat dengan kehendak rakyat. PKR tampil di persada politik negara dengan janji untuk membawa politik baru dan membuang budaya lama yang menjadikan mandat rakyat itu sebagai percaturan untuk tawar-menawar. PKR pernah ada pengalaman masuk pilihan raya dengan menampilkan bekas-bekas wakil rakyat yang melompat parti, iaitu semasa pilihan raya negeri Malacca yang lepas. Keputusannya tidak baik. PKR kalah semua kerusi walaupun dalam PRU 2018 PKR mencatatkan kemenangan terbesar dalam sejarahnya di Malacca.
According to Rafizi, out of the 10 candidates reviewed by PKR, 4 are parachute candidates who either joined PKR only recently or hop from another party. Rafizi named the 4 as former senior federal officer Ruji Ubi, Sabah Governor Musa Aman's son Yamani Hafiz, Jamawi Jafar, and George Hill. He said while he could understand why PKR chose Ruji, a high-profile individual who can add value to the party, its decision to field the 3 others could backfire. The government will not appeal against the Kota Kinabalu High Court's ruling affirming Sabah's entitlement to a 40% share of federal revenue collected from the state. In a statement last night, the Attorney General's Chambers said the federal government respects the constitutional principle of the special grant under Article 112C of the Federal Constitution. It added that the government has agreed to immediately proceed with negotiations with the Sabah state government. The decision was made during a special cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim yesterday to discuss the court's ruling in a judicial review filed by the Sabah Law Society against the government. At the same meeting, the AGC said it also provided advice and views to the cabinet on several defects in the court's judgment. This includes allegations that the federal and Sabah governments had abused their powers and breached constitutional obligations said to have involved both governments since 1974. The AGC said the grounds of judgment also stated that the review conducted after 2021 was unlawful, irrational, and disproportionate. It added that the federal government will appeal the defects in the reasoning of the judgment. On October 17, the Kota Kinabalu High Court ruled that the federal government had acted unlawfully and beyond its powers under the federal constitution by failing to honor Sabah's 40% share of federal revenue for nearly 5 decades. The court issued a mandamus order directing Putrajaya to conduct a new revenue review with the Sabah government and to agree on the state's 40% entitlement for each financial year from 1974 to 2021. The review is to commence within 90 days and conclude within 180 days. Meanwhile, when contacted by Malaysia Kini for comment on the matter, Upko President Ewon Benedick expressed caution, saying that the AGC's decision to file an appeal against the judge's remarks felt contradictory. Benedick was referring to the AGC's decision to appeal the portion of the judge's verdict that found Putrajaya and the Sabah government had abused their powers and breached their constitutional duties regarding the revenue claim. He said that for him, that statement underscored the lack of clarity and commitment he had been questioning from within the government. He added that the AGC's official stand throughout the proceedings was his reason for resigning as Federal Entrepreneur and Cooperative Development Minister. According to Benedick, he had raised the 40% issue repeatedly during cabinet meetings over the past 3 years, but the answers were always the same. He said the answers given to him were the same ones that were later told in Gaya Street. This was in reference to Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's recent remarks where he equated Sabah's special grant with federal allocations. When asked whether his resignation might have influenced Putrajaya's decision not to appeal the court's ruling, Benedick paused and replied, "I leave this question for you to answer."
From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us.
Tensions ran high this afternoon at Kampong Jalan Papan in Pandamaran as residents and activists blocked developers from demolishing homes that were still occupied. Today marked the third day of demolitions in the area, a move that appears to contradict the state government's assurance that only vacant, unoccupied houses would be torn down. Checks in the area as of noon found that 4 houses, including 2 that were still occupied, had been demolished. Meanwhile, an activist who wished to be identified only as Yo claimed that several officers had used force. She told Malaysia Kini that she will be filing a police report over the incident. When asked for comments on the demolition, Pandamaran Assembly person Leong Tak Chi expressed regret over the developer's decision to proceed with it. Leong also appealed for Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to intervene and suspend the demolition until negotiations between the developer, state government and residents are concluded.
700 lebih rumah. Sekarang tinggal ada lebih kurang dalam 83 rumah yang masih ada berpenghuni. Okey, dan kita kena minta jasa baik daripada pemaju. I tahu dia dapat perintah mahkamah. Dia ada kuasa, I tahu. Tapi kita minta jasa baik dapat mempertimbangkan supaya dia bagi masa dan pampasan yang sewajarnya. Mereka ni dalam senarai nama ni dia ada 181 dan 30 nama yang layak untuk dapat pampasan. Dia yang tak nak duit, dia nak rumah. Rumah dengan harga berpatutan. Itu je. Jadi kita minta pemaju tu bertimbang rasa, berperima kasihan bagi mereka selesai masalah. Mereka akan keluar selepas pampasan ada, mereka rela keluar. Dia akan keluar dengan aman. Kita yang nak adalah aman.
Home Minister Saifuddin Nasution Ismail has stated that the capability of the Royal Malaysia Police (RMP) in managing security for high-profile international events has been recognised as being on par with leading global security agencies. He said this includes those in the United States. According to Saifuddin, this was demonstrated during the recent ASEAN summit, where the RMP displayed exceptional efficiency and professionalism in handling the presence of high-risk leaders, including US President Donald Trump. In an interview with Bernama, he said that in the context of receiving President Trump, who was categorized as part of a high-risk delegation, the cooperation between the RMP and the US advance team was very close and effective. He added that the United States placed its trust in Malaysia, and although it has its own standard security procedures, the RMP remained the final authority in deciding all security aspects. Saifuddin said that President Trump himself commended the Malaysian security arrangements, expressing that he felt safe and at ease throughout his stay in Malaysia. He added that the successful organization of the summit further strengthened Malaysia's international reputation as a capable host of large-scale events that demand top-tier security management. Meanwhile, Nur Hayati Arifin, the wife of missing activist Amri Chamat, has questioned what Saifuddin has been doing for the past 3 years. This comes after Saifuddin said on Monday that he is waiting for a detailed briefing from the police on the disappearances of Amri and Pastor Raymond Koh, while instructing them to reopen investigations. In a statement yesterday, Nur Hayati pointed out that the Special Task Force on the case submitted its report to the Home Ministry back in 2020. She questioned whether the Home Minister had even read the Task Force's report. The 2020 report parts of which were later made public through court testimony in 2024, had concluded that rogue police officers may have abducted Kaur and Amri. Nur Hayati also recalled that Saifuddin himself said in June 2023 that he was bringing the report to the higher-ups to deliberate on whether to make it public. She said she looked at all these statements with sadness and disappointment. She is sad because after 9 years, her family still doesn't know what happened to Amri, and disappointed because the government has consistently failed to give any form of justice. Nur Hayati added that she is also puzzled as the Home Ministry especially has taken steps to ensure there is no transparency in the probe, including restricting the Special Task Force report from being released to the public. She urged Saifuddin not to give excuses that he was not aware of this issue until now, and said her advice is not to be too eager to make statements before addressing serious issues that affect the integrity and reputation of the police. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm John. Thanks for watching.